Hola! Hey guys, how are you doing today? If you're new to this channel, my name is Araya, aka Mrs. A, and you are tuned in to Era Speaks. Today's video is going to be a wrap-up of my very last video. I'm going to do three things today. I'm going to do a recap, I'm going to play a reaction video, and I am going to sum it all up and just basically talk about the reason why I did the video in the first place. So let's take a look. What happened in the story is that a woman came on TikTok thanking God for restoring her marriage to her husband. Apparently it happened 6 years ago, and it happened at the beginning of their marriage, but they already had one child, and because of the issues they sort of separated. They were trying to work it all out, and then the woman got pregnant. When she got pregnant, her husband is like, I can't do this anymore. I think we should go our separate ways. And that was it. They went their separate ways again. Now, at some point, the woman found out that her husband was actually seeing somebody. According to the woman, her husband obviously ignored her throughout the whole 9 months, did not talk to her, to the point where he didn't even respond to her text message when she sent an image of the baby's scan, the sonograph thing, to him. He just ignored it, didn't respond to it. One day she just went into labor, and the woman's mother decided to call the husband and be like, yeah, your wife is in labor. Are you going to come or what? She claimed that she didn't want her mom to call the man because she felt like he'd been absent. She also didn't want the man to think that, she was kind of pushing it on him. Anyway, but the mom called and the guy turned up. So he went into the hospital. He was sleeping the whole time because apparently he gone for a night shift. And then the baby came. He went home because he wanted to go and see his mistress. He wasn't sure. He asked his mom. Mom said, you can go and see your wife if that's what you want. Throughout this whole time, the mother was actually encouraging him because she lived with the mother, and the mother actually went to the extent of saying to the woman, oh, my son is having fun with this other lady. The whole story is just crazy, and it gets so tricky when people are saying things, and especially Christians, and they're saying that this was God's plan for them, forgetting that we all know that there is God's permissive will. Okay, so there's the will that God has for us, and God can also permit us to have things. Fast forward, husband was in and out of their lives. He wasn't sure what to do. He didn't know what to do until she got fed up and said, I give up, you can have a divorce. And then all of a sudden, he starts looking around. It started clicking. And he's like, why do you want a divorce? He gets upset. And then all of a sudden, it's like, yes, I want my family back. So he went back, confessed to her that, the whole relationship that she had with the other lady was toxic, blah, 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 blah. So it's a very interesting story, but there's so much more to this that I can't even cover in 2 videos, but I actually don't intend to go back and keep doing videos about it. So I'm just going to play reaction videos, and then I will come back with the sum up. So stay tuned.
It's so funny that when somebody talks about going through infidelity in their marriage and they talk about God restoring it, it's automatically God is not in that. And I really do believe that it's the same people who don't really have a relationship with the Lord and may not have read the Bible the way that they think they have. Because yes, I understand that the Bible says that the grounds for divorce is adultery, but I think people also forget or don't remember that Jesus only permitted that because of the hard hearts of the Israelites. Hard hearts being the people that were in my comments saying, I would never, God is not in this, I'm dumb, and speaking all these horrible word curses and evil things against my union. The Bible also said that God hates divorce. So how is it that when there's infidelity, people can say, oh, God ain't in that, but in every other facet of your lives, are you able to see that God is not in that as well? Or is that only saved for those who are going through infidelity or something that they would never, ever, could never see themselves going?
It's very interesting to me. She talks about infidelity. I feel like this is deeper than that. Every marriage has got trials and, temptations. I don't even see this situation as just cheating. This man was just not cheating. Beginning of the marriage, they had something, and he separated from her straight away. They tried to make it up, and she got pregnant, and he's like, I don't want you anymore. That sounds to me like the man just does not want you. It's not just about him cheating. Most men who actually cheat hide it from their women. And even though in her speech she put it out like the reason why men don't come out openly to say or to confess is because they're afraid of these hard-hearted women. No. The reason why most men don't say it is because they know they're in the wrong. He is just openly telling you that this is what he's doing does not mean that you have done something good for him to be open and honest with you. I honestly feel like this man did not want the woman. The reason why we've come back and we're having this whole conversation is because he tried to go and sort himself out and see if it was all good and all rosy on the other side, but he realized it wasn't. So after he went to try his luck and it didn't work, obviously, you're the next option. That in itself is something else. But anyway, what happened to this woman, in my opinion, was stress. Yes, very stressful situation. Some level of manipulation. Okay, because at that point when she was like, I'm fed up, I give up, you can have whatever you want, all of a sudden, the narrative from the husband changed. This is like psychological abuse. She was a pregnant woman. He just ghosted her. Your whole wife. Your whole wife. There was one of the reactions, the girl was like, your whole husband. So anyway, let's just go into the reaction videos. And most importantly, I would like to come back and share with you the reason why I did this video. Stay tuned.
At first separated. Once we got back together, I ended up getting pregnant. Honestly, it wasn't really the best time because we were trying to work on our marriage, rekindle our intimacy.
Okay, it's a lot to unpack with this story. I watched all parts. So here we go. Now listen, I'm not here to shit on nobody marriage or experiences, okay? But if I gotta be honest, because I'm married myself as a wife. Sister, you was in a hello Barbara, this Shirley relationship, woman to woman. In my heart, I know and I don't believe God was leading you to stay in that marriage. We got to stop this narrative of pushing religion to fit the narrative and the decisions that we make. It was 3 women in that story that enabled that man behavior. His mother, his wife, and the side piece. That's exactly how it always goes. Now, no marriage is perfect because you got to go through some shit, but we will not be sitting up here pushing this whole, you have to suffer, you have to be disrespected, you have to sit in silence and just be, that's bullshit. Like, if we really gonna talk about this, that man had no business being married. From the story you told, I don't know him personally, but what I will say is this. Abandoning your pregnant wife is not what a husband would do. It's not what a man would do. And the mother was just as much to blame. Because in the story you said he was living with his mother when he abandoned you to go and be in a relationship and sleep with another woman that he was in a relationship with for 9 months. Again, I'm a boy mom. And there is no way on God's green earth my son gonna come and lay up underneath my goddamn roof and not take care and support his pregnant wife. Now, if he say, mama, we done, I can't do this no more, I want to move on, I have to respect that. But what I can't respect is the fact that you have abandoned your child, your seed, to go and lay up underneath another woman. You be a man and you tell your wife it's not working, but I will always be here to support you with these babies because you did not do this on your own. Okay, that's how a mother push her son to be a damn man. I don't support foolishness. Now, if he don't do it, that's on him, but I will not support bullshit like that. Let's go to the second woman, the sad piece. Baby, you see how he doing his wife. You see how he's sitting up here doing his pregnant wife. Got this woman at home by herself. Hasn't really communicated with her none throughout the pregnancy. And you sitting over here thinking you gonna be different? You thinking he gonna divorce his wife and get with you? And all of a sudden start a family with you? Oh, it couldn't have been her. It couldn't have been him. It's her. That's what women do. That's what we always go wrong. You always think it's the other woman. No. You have to pay attention to the red flags and the signs. So you played yourself, side piece. You played yourself. Third, the wife sitting up there praying out to God, talking about God talking to you, sitting up there pregnant with a man baby, and you can't even pick up the phone and call him to I don't want to bother him. Are you serious? This is a marriage? Going into labor and can't even pick up the phone and call your husband and say, hey, this is what's going on. Are you serious? 3 women in that story enable that man behavior, and that's why he was out there behaving like that, behaving like a child, calling himself a man, a son, and a goddamn husband. And then you get online and tell this story from 2018 and talking about some, but God ain't had nothing to do with that. That was free will. He made a decision to leave. He made a decision to bring another woman into that marriage. That woman made a decision to sleep with a married man. The mother made a decision to sit there and not hold her son accountable for what he was doing to his wife and his child. And sister, you made a choice to go back to that man after all that bullshit he had put you through. God had nothing to do with this. And this is the very same reason why a lot of people out here yelling out, oh, we don't want to get married. We don't want to get married because of this crazy ass narrative. Okay. It has to stop. It has to stop. We all have our shortcomings. We've been through a lot of shit. I will say that. But one thing we don't do, you're not going to get disrespectful. You will not abandon me and your family. You abandon me and your family, it's a wrap. God ain't, no, a man don't move like that. And I get it. All of this, God restored my marriage and God saved this, God, and forgiveness and all this and that. Again, if that's how people choose to operate, more power to you, more power to you. And I am here to say healthy marriages do exist. And of course, you got to go through something to get to something, right? But under no circumstances do a marriage supposed to be that much pain, that much suffering, and that much disrespect. What's happening is you got too many immature people out here trying to step into the big league and have no idea how to play the game. They're not on the up and up. They don't take those vows seriously. They're not walking in God's purpose. They don't care about their marriages. And that's the new norm for marriages. And that's why it's so healthy. That's why this narrative is being pushed. That's why people out here yelling out real marriage and real, when they see it, they don't believe it. That's why so many side pieces out here don't even know they damn worth, thinking they really doing something, okay? That's why so many boys out here that call themselves men out here just procreating with whoever because women enabling that behavior. That's why so many women out here getting married have no idea what the hell they doing in their marriages. God is definitely there for your marriage. He can see you through a whole lot of things. But at some point, we got to be honest. Sister, you was in the hello, barber. This is Shirley. He thought the grass was greener on the other side. And when he found out that it wasn't. So he came running back. And guess what? You was sitting right there praying and hoping that he came back. That's it. That's all.
That were very evil, a lot of very evil, bitter people projecting fear onto my marriage, into my union, talking bad about my husband, talking bad about something that happened 6 years ago in the beginning of our marriage. Nobody is God to tell me that that's not the plan that God had for my life. Nobody knows what that journey looks like. And I came on here to share because I knew that more people needed to have softened hearts. More people needed to understand that salvation is not saved for everybody else but adulterers. More people were offended at my story than I was. And I'm going to continue to share what God does for me and my husband. I'm going to continue to love my husband and tell the world about what God is doing for us.
So this is honestly my first time seeing any content from this particular creator. But after seeing this video, I went to her page and noticed that she has a marital coaching platform that you can pay for. She's not doing it for free. So she did not share this story for free. I believe that she shared this story to convince women who are hanging on by a thread with any ounce of hope that God can save their marriage to come to her for her marital coaching. Now, I don't know if she's a marital counselor. I didn't get that far on her page, but I didn't see those credentials. So do with that information what you will. But it's always so funny to me, though, that women will get on this app, complain, or share a failure on the part of a man that they love. And when the internet does not agree or comes for the man, y'all want to get mad. I don't understand what happens in your brain. We only know that your husband cheated and left you pregnant by yourself for the entire 9 months. And then came to the hospital, but also left when the woman that he is in relationship with called him. We only know that because you told us. And because people do not agree with the path that you took, all of a sudden it's y'all don't know the Lord for yourselves, you don't know the word for yourselves, and you don't understand how forgiveness works. Y'all gotta stop doing that. If that's the path that you want to take, kudos to you. If that's what you want to do with your life, I think that's great. But you can't be mad at other people for not doing the same thing, or for having an opinion about the path that you took because you put it on the internet and made it public, babe.
Right, so this final reaction video about from a lady was very touchy. More often than not, what people don't realize, it's not just about you, but how about your children? This lady was talking about her experience with her mom and dad, and there was a lot in there, and it's almost like you don't realize how far these things can affect children in particular. So yeah, let's hear what she had to say.
That God restore her marriage. I'm not judging her, but everybody's talking about it, so I thought I'll put in my 2 cents as a child who grew up watching a woman allow a man to mistreat her for the sake of God, I guess, whatever. So for you women out there, staying in a marriage for the sake of the kids, it's a big mistake. Personally, I don't feel like people actually stay in a marriage for the sake of the kids. I think they stay in a marriage for the sake of the aesthetic. I think that they may not want the aesthetic of the marriage. They may not care, but they want their children to have that aesthetic of having the mom and dad in the household. Now, again, I'm not judging that lady because her story, that's a whole nother breakdown in itself. Yeah. But as for me, my parents were married for 40 years, until my mother's dying day. I begged my mother to leave my daddy when I was 9 years old because my daddy is just not a good person. But she didn't. She stayed. I had a decent life, went to private school. I played golf. I played tennis, I did a lot of things. But I can 99.9% assure you my life would have been better without my dad. Now, I will admit a lot of the tools that he gave me are great. Going to private school put me in connections in places I may not have been in without him. Playing golf and tennis, especially being a black girl, put me in places that I wouldn't have been without him. But those places didn't take me anywhere in life because he's not a good person, and we could talk about that in another video. But the fact is, my mama stayed with a man who she should have left a long time ago, and now it has taken its toll on me. She gone. She died October 23rd of last year, and I'm still dealing with the remnants of her decision to stay with a man who she shouldn't have married in the first place. Got sick last year and I found a diary. I told her I did. She told me to read it. That diary spanned over 20 years of, almost 20 years of things. Her thoughts, her feelings, her hopes, her dreams. And every page of that diary at some point asked for my father to be changed and for God to change him and to help her marriage. That same man that she asked to change told me during the time where I was engaged to my ex-husband, going down Earhart Highway, he said, "You can't change no man, no matter what you do. God don't change people. He gives them the opportunity to change. He gives them the free will to decide if they want to change or not, but he does not make them change. So if God can't make a person change, what makes you think you can?" That's what that man told me. And he was right. I ended up divorcing my husband. And I don't believe in divorce. But I did what I had to do at that time. 40 years. 40 years, and then my mother died. And my daddy is still the same. My daddy is still not a good person. He has not changed. He is not remorseful. He is grateful to have a woman who loved him, no matter what. 40 years, and my mother didn't get not an ounce of happiness in the marriage that she had with my dad. Now, I'm left to not only mourn my mother, but I have to mourn her life, because her life was not a good one with my father. So I am grieving my mother that she's gone, because me and her were very close. I am grieving her life because she didn't fulfill none of her dreams. Everything, she put all of her dreams, hopes, and aspirations aside for my father, and he didn't even help her attain anything. I am grieving my life because it was fake. The private schools, the nice house, the pictures, the this, the that, it was bullcrap. And there were things going on in the house. I had no idea what was going on until my mother died and people started talking. And I guess they didn't tell me because it would have got to my mother's side of the family. And I can reassure you, if my mom's side of the family knew what my daddy was doing my mama, my daddy wouldn't be here. I am grieving my relationship with my father because I resent him. I resent him for making my mother so miserable. I resent him for not being apologetic. I resent him for still breathing. And my mother is not. So I'm not just grieving my mother. I am grieving this fictitious life they have given me. And I have to now readjust at 40 years old my train of thought and what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it. And everything that I know, so that I won't make the same mistake. Because what my son won't do is grieve my life. He has to grieve me. I have to go. I would hate to be the one to have to bury him. I want him to bury me long from now. But when he buries me, I want him to be like, baby, my mama didn't play. She lived her life. She did what she wanted. And now she's gone. I don't want him crying because I lived for a man and then I died. Because that's what's going to happen. And I can tell that when I read a lot of comments and watch a lot of videos, I could pretty much tell who parents were married and who parents wasn't. It's obvious. Because a lot of y'all have these fairy tale concepts of what love and marriage should be. And with that being said, every marriage, every relationship, I don't care if it's a friendship, a marriage, a relationship between child and parent, every relationship has its ups and downs because people are different. Nobody, if somebody is doing and agreeing with everything you say and do, run. They might just be a serial killer. But you ain't helping your children stand in that loveless marriage because they see. And a lot of times they're probably going to repeat it. Unfortunately. Because that's all they know. They don't know how to function any other way. I would have rather my mother be a single mom than to go around staying with this man. When I have to reminisce on my mother's life to try to find the good times, there are none that include my father outside of him giving her me. Because I'm pretty sure, because she couldn't have children, so I'm pretty sure she was happy to have a child. Because she wasn't supposed to have kids. Her fallopian tubes was crushed. Outside of that, I can't think of any good times with my parents. I can think of good times with me and my mom and her sisters, my mom and her nieces and nephews and cousins. I can think of those. But anytime I think about them two together, there is none but her bowing down to his every beck and call, and I'm not pleased. Now, I'm not telling you to run off and not tolerate nothing your husband do and everything, because he's human. Your husband is human. Your wife is human. They're going to make mistakes. It's up to you to decide when you're going to draw the line. But never drawing a line and just allowing somebody to mistreat you and praying for God to change somebody that he said he ain't changing. They got to change on their own, that he said he was giving free will to. It's bullcrap. That's my TED Talk. I ain't using my 10 minutes. Do what you do without was with that.
Okay, that woman's reaction story was something else. It was so deep. It was so deep. And to listen to a child who said she begged her mother to leave her father, and the fact that the woman is dead, she absolutely had no joy. She mentioned about the fact that the woman did not achieve anything, like all her aspirations. When you're with a man who cannot even support you to achieve something that you want to achieve, that in itself is a question mark. We're not talking about a situation where you're not listening to what any man is, your man is saying, you're just being unnecessarily difficult to deal with and all of that. This is not about encouraging women to divorce. Nope. Every marriage has got its trial, but there is a clear difference between a normal marriage with these trials and these sort of scenarios. Yes, a man is not there to support you to achieve your aspirations, even when you're doing it for them. A man literally resents you. They behave in a way that makes you know that they don't like you, they hate you. That is a sign. To the point where even when children are involved, they still don't care, they're not bothered. A man that can abandon somebody for so long and come back when things go wrong, that's not a good sign either. Look at the effect and the aftermath. Look at how it's affected the daughter. However many years, 40 years on. How sad is that? And she's the only child. Why are you staying in a place where you're not welcome? Because there's so many women in abusive relationships, and some of these women were thanking the woman for sharing her testimony and saying, oh, I'm in a similar situation. And the funny thing is, they could probably be in a situation where they are like one more day to their grave. Yes, because some of them could be going through abuse. And they see this video and they're like, yeah, I'm going to keep hanging on there. So I'm going to go back to the reason why I did this video in the first place. Because the moment I saw the video, I'm like, this narrative is wrong. I'm sorry, in my opinion, this narrative is wrong. At the end of the day, she and her husband, according to her, they're happy. The man's repented. Thank God for that. If he has truly, then thank God for that. Kudos to the two of them. But my fear was the consequences of this video for younger children who never had parents to talk to them about what love truly looks like and what abuse looks like. Younger children who's been in abusive families throughout because their parents always had issues going on constantly. And that's all they've known. When they see this video and they choose a man who's like their dad, they're going to be very happy because they're just waiting for God to come and rescue them. And when we talk about the permissive will of God and God's will for us, they're very different. So if you keep pushing God about something you want, He's just going to allow you. It doesn't mean that's God's perfect plan for you. My fear is the grave repercussions of this sort of negative narrative on young children. The younger generation, my children, your grandchildren, your nieces and your nephews, because some women can also abuse men like that. The children in the fourth and the fifth and the sixth generation to come, that's where my worry is. And you know what? If you want to pass a message on to the fifth and the sixth and the seventh generation, make sure that you embed that message in the brains of the first generation, and you don't have to do any more work. they are going to pass that narrative to their children. Their children are going to pass it on to their children. Those children are going to pass it on to their children. So by the time we get to the 4th and the 5th generation, there'll be no other narrative. The only narrative that would exist is the one that you embedded in the generation, which was the first generation. There'll be no counter narrative, and everybody is going to see this as normal. I do not want my children to wake up 15, 20 years from now and see this kind of video and think it's normal. So we're going to speak up, and we are not going to watch and have narratives like this infiltrate our society and cause more harm than we're already going through. I am done. Adios. Take care. I love you. Bye.